Ladies and gentlemen, fight fans all around the world, we're going to talk some boxing. Shout out to FightHub TV for this video, as well as the other channel, which I can't remember its name right now, but we will get to it. Here you will see Andrade Rossier being interviewed concerning the Golovkin close win over Derevyanchenko, his fighter. And you will also see Demetrius Andrade come in and interrupt this interview. Let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into it. Sorry about the delay there, folks.
Andre Rossier, trainer of Derevyanchenko. How heartbreaking is to feel like you had somebody take something from you?
Well, heartbreaking. I mean, you gotta be saying some shit that don't make no sense.
Listen.
Man, he came through, they gave you 12 rounds of beautiful boxing. He showed what the hell that my man taught him. You see him step over his 1, 2, 3 activity, landing clean body shots, landing clean 1, 2, 3s with the step overs. The hell, man, he's still a winner.
Well, listen, I really don't have to say much more after that. Nephew really encapsulated everything. It's disappointing because I wanted him to leave with a world title, as he should have, and he worked so hard to get there, and it's like back to the drawing board, but we will do what we have to do to rise to the next occasion.
How frustrating was Harvey had a bad night, like that 5th round?
Oh, listen, and I like Harvey. Harvey has always been a Class A act as an official, but, you know, these things happen. We can't do much about it.
Coach, there's no such thing as a win-loss, but it's cool that Derevyanchenko's going to be in that mix at 160.
Oh, yeah, it is. But like one of the officials in the back said, well, you know, sometimes a loss is a win. But, okay, sometimes a loss is a win. I want to win with a win. That's what I want. I don't want a loss that wins. I want to be a winner.
This is the 3rd time you've been on opposite side of Triple G. Did he look like the same guy you've seen the previous 2 times? He looked like an old 37-year-old fighter tonight.
Well, no. What he had in front of him was a buzzsaw that was working. I told you the defensive circle was coming, and he put it on him. So it's not that Triple G suddenly is an old man. He had a very, very good, hungry athlete in front of him.
Good points. And I'll come through with these points in a minute. But first, let's get to Fino boxing and Demetrius Andrade. Shout out to Fino boxing for this.
Demetrius.
It was beautiful.
Andre, do you think H is catching up to Triple G already?
I think when you put him in with somebody that knows how to defend himself, that's trained by the elite guys like Andre Rossier, it's going to go 12 rounds. Everybody else he fought was meant for him to kill and beat down. When you get in there with somebody that knows what they're doing, you see the outcome.
Alright. And that can be backed up very easily by just looking at the competition that Triple G had during his career. I'm going to do that right here. I might have to do this in the next video, but I'm just going to call out what was going on. He won his championship, Triple G that is. He won the interim WBA World Middleweight title from Milton Nunes. At the time, Felix Stern was the WBA World Middleweight Champion of the world. Okay? Now, one of the things people don't say, this was upgraded to the WBA regular title when Felix Stern became the super champion. Okay, so a lot of people don't know that. So Felix Stern was the real WBA champion, and Gennady Golovkin was just a paper champion. So when he faced Kasim Uma, which you guys can't see there for the WBA World Middleweight title, he was actually a regular champion. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see this. It's kind of blurry. I'm going to go through more of this video a little later. But suffice it to say that most of these names here, Kasim Uma, LaJohn Simon, Makoto Fujigami, Gregor's Proska. Gabe Rosado is only one so far that we know. Right? That's a known name, Gabriel Rosado. And you got Nobuhiro Ishida. By the way, Gabe Rosado came from 154 pounds. Nobuhiro Ishida, he's also a good fighter, but he came up also from 154 pounds. Matthew Macklin is a name we know. Then Curtis Stevens, he faced. Then Adama Osamanu, I don't know who that is. Daniel Gill, who was a former world champion. Marco Antonio Rubio, Martin Murray, Willie Monroe, David Lemieux. Until David Lemieux, we really hadn't seen anybody who was really a world champion at the present point in time. This was the first world champion he had. He did a unification with David Lemieux for the IBF title, along with the WBA. He had the WBA. So it's really sad because, to tell you the honest truth, nobody else. I mean, we had a former world champion in Daniel Gill. He once was a world champion, but that was many moons ago. And that's about it. Nobody else was a world champion or world champion status. And he was doing a lot of defenses. And then you come to David Lemieux, where he did a unification. Then he faced Dominic Wade. Then he faced somebody of high caliber. Finally, a high caliber boxer person, and that was Cal Brook. But this guy came up all the way from welterweight and still gave him trouble for 5 rounds. If Cal Brook was much bigger, he'd definitely have dominated and beat Triple G because he was just landing a whole bunch of punches on him. Then you had Daniel Jacobs. That was his first elite 160 pounder. And we all know how that story went. Daniel Jacobs really should have won that fight. Even though Gennady Golovkin get a unanimous decision, it was close. But still, Daniel Jacobs should have won that fight. And then he faced Saul Canelo Alvarez, where he got a draw, which I argue Canelo's won. Then he faced Vanes Martirosyan. Then he faced Saul Canelo Alvarez again and lost. Then he faced Steve Rawls. Then he faced Sergey Derevyanchenko. All of the top tier guys, Derevyanchenko, Canelo, and Jacobs, his best fights to date, were not stopped. In fact, GGG looked less than ordinary. He sustained a lot of punishment from all three fighters. And this is just to show you that this guy, throughout his whole entire fucking career, sorry about the F-bomb, but through his entire career, had fought mediocre to good fighters. When he finally steps up in competition and faces real competition, elite fighters, imagine this is a 154 pounder, Saul Canelo Alvarez, moving up in weight, and he still gets a draw with Triple G officially. Shouldn't Triple G have looked like the Triple G of old and put him away? But didn't happen. Okay, it didn't happen for Daniel Jacobs. It didn't happen for Derevyanchenko. But once he stepped down in competition, Steve Rawls, Vanes Martirosyan, Dominic Wade, you know. Once he stepped down in competition, Willie Monroe, you know, he got the results that looked like the Triple G of old. Alright? Daniel Gill was stopped by Miguel Cotto, who's not even a middleweight. So this guy was manufactured. This is what Daniel Jacobs was saying. He's manufactured. He's a manufactured all-time great. Because as Daniel Jacobs said, he is not old. It's that when he steps up in competition and faces people who actually know what they're doing, he goes the full distance. And like Daniel Jacobs said, when he faces guys who know what they're doing and are trained by great trainers like Rossier, you know, they look ordinary. And he described a little bit what Derevyanchenko was doing, stepping around, landing 1-2-3s to the body, to the head, clean shots. He was basically saying that Derevyanchenko won. That's what he was basically saying. And he said if Triple G were to face him, he would butcher him. Alright guys, I'll catch you guys later on to the other videos.